This is That One Audition with Alyshia Ochse. We're just going to do this as fast as humanly possible because technology may or may not be on our side for this. Let's just see.
I think we're good.
Don't touch anything. Don't touch. This, I guess, gets me good started in a really good place. What made you think you could be a doctor and with these bouncy hands and being able to fix everything? Do you like that segue? It's a great segue. Steal it.
I love
anytime.
it. I did go to college and I studied biology. I have a degree in biology pre-med, so I am very qualified
to be on Grey's Anatomy.
To be on All My Children as a doctor and
absolutely
and Grey's Anatomy. Yes.
And say all the things that you could possibly say.
Yes.
Did you correct them on how they should say things?
Absolutely. So when they mispronounced sternoclavicular notch, I had to step in. Yeah.
Look how well the Zoom supported that. We didn't skip once, or did we? Say it again.
Sternoclavicular notch.
Sternoclavicular notch.
Yeah. Do you know what that is?
Nope. Something here.
This right here.
That's what that is?
Yeah.
Okay, so why do you decide
this is your acromioclavicular joint?
This is full anatomy class.
Yeah, your AC joint.
What's right here?
That is your tickle spot.
How did you know?
That's the scientific term for it.
That is the scientific term for the tickle spot.
Okay, ticculus noviculus.
When did you get the ticculus noviculus for the screen?
It's just. Yeah, it's just,
this is great.
This is what my parents paid a lot of money for in college for me to learn. Yes.
Is this specifically? So when did you disappoint them? Did you leave before you completed the degree? Did you get degree and then not be able to?
I disappointed them by graduating, taking the MCAT, and then telling them, by the way, I want to go to New York and become an actor.
Oh my God, I would love to hear this conversation. Did you guys do it over Thanksgiving, Christmas? Was it somebody's birthday? Where did the present come?
Yeah, it was actually, I heard on the radio about this model talent search when I was my senior year at University of Iowa. And I was like, okay, I'm in the middle of cornfields in Iowa. It would be pretty cool to travel the world and take pictures and do runway shows with Giorgio Armani. Why not? At 22 years old, why not?
Sure.
I decided to go to this thing, and then I never thought anything.
Did you think you would win? How many people were there? Was it like 312 or was it like thousands? How was this town judging itself?
It wasn't so much a competition. It was more of like
pay what you can and we'll tell you.
Yeah. Well, it was only $200 to go to this thing. So I was like, what do I got to lose? And another $200 to get your picture taken. And then when I go to this model convention thing, there's like hundreds of people there and you had to walk on the runway and do like your thing. And at the very end, there was like 12 agents there from New York and LA and Seattle and Chicago. And this event was in Chicago. And of all the 12 agents, only one agent asked to actually meet with me because I'm like barely 5'11", and to be a model, you got to be like 6'1". But this guy was like, you could probably maybe do some things in Chicago. So
just some commercial lifestyle things.
There you go.
A little bit more on the life end of stuff. Not so super, but more commercial.
Exactly. So my first modeling job was for Kohl's, and I was on a beach holding a piece of wood, just trying to look all cool.
Those eyebrows can go a long way when you're really trying to look far on. Yes, you got hired because of the eyebrows.
Yeah.
We know this to be true. So
then randomly, my agent sent my photographs to New York for Bruce Weber, who was shooting the Ralph Lauren polo campaign. And I got hired. And he was like, holy shit, you just got hired for this Ralph Lauren job.
Huge.
I'm like, yeah, which is great. And so I went and did that. And then 2 weeks later, he hired me for this Versace campaign. And then they sent me to Milan, Italy, and I started doing runway shows for Versace and Armani and Dolce & Gabbana and all these names I didn't know how to pronounce. And that was the first time I was like, whoa, this is cool. I'm around this like creative environment of like stylists and hairdresser people and
people making me look real pretty.
Yeah.
Real pretty.
And back in college, you were baggy, oversized J. Crew Gap stuff. And when Giorgio Armani puts a $5,000 suit on you and you're like, oh, okay, I get it.
Uh,
And then this agency in New York invited me to come to New York. And so I went there and I was doing like the Calvin Klein underwear box and a bunch of all this stuff. And then my agent started sending me on some commercial auditions that required no acting. You go, here, drive this car.
moving pictures. It's an elevator. You can
Yeah,
move inside the picture now, but we don't
right.
need you to talk yet.
Put this gum in your mouth and pretend you like it. Okay, I think I can do that. And so I
Mhm.
started booking these commercials. And then my agent said, have you ever thought about doing TV or film? And I was like, no, like this, I wouldn't know the first thing.
No, but I know where your tickle spot is. So let me just
Nicholas Naviculus.
tickle. No different. Yes. Yes. I do know where that
Yeah.
is, which
And
had to
so,
surprise people.
yeah, so I jumped into this acting class. I was 23 years old and I was like, whoa, this is like a whole new, crazy, awesome experience. And
Whose class were you in? Where did you go?
I started out with a woman named Jackie Siegel on
Mhm.
St. Mark's Place. And she would rent out on Monday and Tuesday nights, she would rent out the KGB bar because it had a stage. And so
Yeah.
we would do acting class there. And it was like, I looked
Brilliant.
so forward to it every week because growing up in the Midwest, it's like that people pleasing mentality and be a
Yes.
good boy and go to school and do. And I was like,
Mhm.
and my acting teacher was like, none of that. Read the script and getting to be able to play these different characters and practice like having an authentic, connected conversation with someone helped me get over my own introverted, nervous anxiety about speaking in front of people and all that. So it really
Would you
helped me.
consider yourself that? Would you have considered
Oh,
yourself that at that
yeah.
time?
Yeah. I would get terrible stage fright if I ever had to give like a speech at school, get up in front of an audience to do anything. I tried like theater in school when I was younger, but I just would get so nervous walking out on stage. I'd be like, "Whoa!" I couldn't even talk. So I just figured
Wow.
like there's no way I could ever do that. And this is what is amazing about what we do. And I'm sure you know this is that acting class essentially just wrings you out of all of your negative beliefs or your ideas about who you think you are and what you're capable of doing. And once you start to do this, one of my acting teachers actually had us do this exercise that really helped with this. He said when I was first starting this new class, Art, I can't remember his name, it was Los Angeles. When I first moved out there, he said, prepare a song. So when you come into class, you got to sing the song in front of everyone. I'm like, that's all right, Art. I don't sing. So that's not going to happen. And he said, no, just prepare anything, even if it's happy birthday. So I prepared Fly Me to the Moon. Let
Oh,
me.
you went for it.
I went for it.
Yes.
And it's like I get in the class and there's 20 people, complete strangers you don't know. And he invites me up. All right, everyone, Colin's here. He's a new student. He's like, all right, Colin, sing your song. And I'm like, oh shit. So I start singing the song. I forget the second verse. I start over. I'm like, it was like whatever. And then I go to run off the stage. He's, nope, come back here, get back on the stage. And he says, okay, now sing that song like a dog. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, bark like a dog. And so are you, this is the stupidest thing. So I was like, ruff, 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 and like barked my way through this. And then he's, okay, now that you've made a complete ass of yourself, now you
Mhm.
can be free to do anything in front of all of us. And I was like, holy shit. And it's so true. I think these revelations of recognizing like how significant we take ourselves and how like we think people are going to think stupid things about us because of something we said on the playground when we were in fourth grade can completely stop us from fulfilling on our dreams and our goals as adults. And that's what acting class really helped me with. And now actually
That's what
outside
you
of,
teach now. Like what
yeah,
an incredible full circle moment to go from being having stage fright to now teaching people how to not have stage fright. Okay, so at what point do you decide that you also need to be the teacher of this? When do you feel like when or what helps you finally crystallize that moment because then you're in all of my favorite rom-coms of all the early 2000s. Thank you so much. Clearly, not only did you step into I can talk in front of people, now I'm also like the heartthrob. So people are also expecting you to have a certain amount of confidence.
Yeah.
So where's that come from, Colin? At what
So
point does it crystallize?
like after doing films or TV shows, you've done plenty of interviews to promote the shows, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it started there. And again, I'd be terrible, like just terribly nervous. Okay, how do I say this? If you're going to the local news to promote your movie and you have like 30 seconds to say whatever and I'd be like, I'm playing this character and he's a plumber. Okay, thanks,
And
Colin. That's all the time we have. I'm like,
yeah,
wait a minute. I didn't even
I didn't
say
say
like,
words. I didn't even say words. I
I
said no
barely
words.
said anything. I said movie and I said plumber. I was like, okay, I got to get better at this interviewing thing if I'm going to really be able to be successful as an actor. And so I started like looking into Tony Robbins seminars and these coaching programs to just help me overcome whatever this anxiety or whatever it was. And so by doing some of this deep introspective work about self-identity and the decisions that we decide about who we are when we're younger and helping unwind a lot of this stuff, it helped me recognize my blind spots of that imposter syndrome. And really it just comes down to recognizing that we're all human, we all are imperfect in one way or another, and that the more that you can just show up and be your authentic, fallible self, the more you give people permission to just be themselves, and you don't have to try to worry about how you sound or how you look, and because that's exhausting after a while. And it got to a place where I was in Hollywood, LA up until about 2018. And I had pursued this goal of being a professional actor. And I had successes here and there, working with the Kate Hudsons and
Yeah, the
Sylvester
great
Stallone,
heights.
Gary
Yes.
Oldman. But I never
Box
quite,
office rom-coms, check, check. We just don't do those anymore, Colin.
I
That's the
know,
only
it's
reason.
sad. It's
It's
so
so
sad. The business
sad.
started changing. So Amazon and
Mhm.
Netflix came in and just completely upended the industry. And I found myself, like a lot of actors, where the established A-listers were moving back into TV,
Mhm.
pushing actors like me back down to guest star roles. And I was like, I this is ridiculous. I have 20 years experience and I can't even get a guest star on
Yeah.
Riverdale. And
Yep.
so I was like, I need to maybe just take a break from Hollywood and look into doing something different. Because, man, as this business can chew you up and spit you out, and no one gives a shit. And so
Nobody will answer. Nobody cares.
I
Nobody cares.
could,
They care a lot. They care a lot when
I
those box
could
office tickets are coming in. But
drink a bottle of Drano in my apartment, and probably no one would know for 4 weeks except for my family. Because, like, I haven't heard from my agent in weeks.
yeah, just sitting
So,
there, just making sure the phone still works, right? Yep.
yeah,
Everything still
yeah,
works. It's
still here.
great. It's
Yep,
great. Still
yep.
here.
And
Yeah.
so I started looking I always admired what Tony Robbins would do on stage and motivational speaking. And so I was like, you know what? Maybe there might be something in there. And so I decided to leave LA, move back to Chicago. And I decided actually to get into real estate just to do something. I started getting into real estate investing. And I was like, you know what? I think I needed to just get out of LA to push the reset button for a little bit, get back home,
Mhm.
your own family, and just reconnect and go to some Cubs games and just feel like get my
Like a
confidence
human.
back. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And so once I got back to Chicago, I got asked to speak at this social media LinkedIn event that this marketing company was putting on. And I just told my story of living in New York, and I was living across the street from the World Trade Center when those towers got hit. And when those towers came down, my windows got blown in. I was there, I was running down the street. So it was a few days before I could get back to my apartment. And I'd only been studying acting for 2 years.
I was going to let people know. I looked to see when that happened and when you started working, which it was still a few years
Yeah.
post.
And so I was like, I'm homeless now. What am I going to do? And so I was like, you know what? Why don't I just go out to LA to give this thing a shot? So I went out to LA in 2002, pounded the pavement, finally got a job on a steady acting job, my first real
The All My
acting job,
Children.
All My
Yep.
Children.
Yes. Yes, and as somebody who gets nervous, and look, I've done my handful of soaps right there with you. The amount of pages, the amount of words, the amount of things that you are saying, and we poo it. Most actors I know are
Yeah.
like, oh,
I
stop, stop.
dare
Like,
you
I
to book
would
a soap
never.
opera job.
I
I
double
dare
dare you.
one to. Why would you do a soap
Anybody.
opera?
Why would you
Why
do
would
a
you,
soap opera?
like,
And then my first day on set, I was like, oh. No, no, you don't want the second take. I didn't say anything that was here. Okay,
doesn't matter.
we're moving on. We're moving
Moving
on.
on. Yeah.
I have shared on this podcast, people have heard me share insane stories from working on the soaps.
Which one were you on?
Survival stories. I did General Hospital for a while and I did Days. But my first day on Days, one of the legacy characters had said to me, he was like, two things you need to know. If you don't like what's going on, I need you to tackle the set. Don't fall out of frame, they'll still use it. Tackle a set piece. I need it to move completely out of the way so they have to reset and you can get your moment again. I'm like, okay. He goes, and then the monologue. Just think, we have a hard inner monologue at the end. When that camera's pushing in on you, I need you to have a few thoughts that start off somewhere along like this. Did you fart? Did I fart? Did somebody fart? Somebody farted. Oh God. I need to feel that. I was like, okay, I am off to the races. Yep. And he's
Yeah.
hired, guys. 4 or 5 years of a
Yeah.
soap. He's hired and yeah, in one take. So I want to hear either the part of the audition story of landing something like this, but I think also you just don't know till you're on it. And what were some survival skills of working on
Mm.
that? Because I also love that immediately afterwards you went on to Melrose Place, which you went from like the best daytime soap of the time into the best nighttime soap of the time.
Mhm.
Seemed like there was much of a little, was there a skip there, or was it the yellow brick road that Colin just decided all of a sudden, I'm just
Oh,
gonna try this
oh,
thing and I'm
yeah.
gonna go do Armani shows and Versace
Yeah.
and now
Hey,
I'm gonna just
Colin,
be on a show.
we need you on Melrose. Like, we'll send a
Stat.
private jet. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do tell. What were some survival skills? And then how do we just do, because also on soaps, people don't know, usually the guys, they try to anchor you guys in for a solid 3 years. I
Hmm.
noticed you did a 5 year. So,
Three. I did three.
oh, you only did three. Was it 2000? I thought it was 2005 to 2009. So it was more six to nine.
It was 2005 to 2008.
Oh, they slid in
Yeah.
some episodes on 2009. They
Um,
pulled in from some footage.
so I think I was like, I got hired like August
Yeah.
2005, and then it bled into, I guess 2009
As they were coming out. Yes. Yeah. So you did do the
for
3 year
the,
contract. And then
yeah.
when it was your time to, when it was time to renegotiate again, was it your choice to say, I'm going to
Aha.
find a Melrose?
Renegotiate. You're so funny.
Choices. Was it a choice or was it not? That's what I love picking through people's careers.
Mhm. So talk about survival skills or whatever, if you want to call it that. So I had the 3 year contract, and there were guys on that show that had been there for 20, 30. The show was on for 41 years. And Tad Martin and Jacob Young and Aiden Turner, that bunch of guys been on there forever. And so when my 3 year contract was coming up, I was like, oh, okay. Like I, I've aspirations to do like primetime TV and film, but I'm acting, it's steady, it's decent money. I'm living in New York, which I love. And so when I was like, my 3 year contract is coming up, yeah, I'll renew. And so when the head producer, she called up, I was walking down, I think it was Mercer Street, and she was like, Colin, it's Julie. I'm like, oh, hey, Julie, how you doing? She's like, good. So we're gonna kill you off. And I'm like, I thought she was calling to like up my contract.
Uh-huh.
And so got off that phone call, and it was like getting kicked in the stomach because
Yeah.
again, there was, so because your brain goes right to, am I a crappy actor? Did I piss someone off? What is it? What? Because I would
Hmm.
go to these fan events and people like, oh, Josh, I want your autograph, and I thought I was like a fan
Daytime
favorite.
heartthrob. Yeah. This is going well. This is going
Yeah.
well.
And
Yeah.
so it's hard not to take it personally when you're like, do people not like me? What's wrong with me? So like all those negative thoughts came in. And so I just was talking about like my acting teacher and a couple of my actor friends who I knew. They're like, dude, this is just the business. And if you really
Mhm.
want to succeed not only in the business, but in life, you just got to know that enjoy what you have while you have it, knowing it's not going to last forever. And that you always, what I realized was you've got to always be working on improving yourself and making sure that you are always in a place of being agile enough to jump into something new or different. And that's why I titled my book Agile Artists,
Yes, I was gonna ask.
Life Lessons from Hollywood and Beyond, because it's a lot of these lessons that I learned the hard way about the impermanence of work, and you can't take things personally, and not worrying about what people thought of you, because that can just put you in a very deep, dark place that you sometimes can get
Hard
be hard
to
to get
climb
out
out.
of. And so that's why it's important to just have things outside of work and other things that light you up, that inspire you, that keep you motivated, so that when the things that happen in life that aren't pleasant, you've got
Hmm.
something to lean back on and to fill you back up and to keep you going.
Yeah, because if I just look at your career, it looks like you're working all the time. Even like me just making that assumption of, oh, then one show ends, another one just starts. Poo poo, fun, fun. Everything's great. You don't really think that there is, I call it, it's like you're waiting for a wave to come back in. I feel like
Mhm.
acting is just going surfing. Some days you're going to catch a wave, you're going to ride it
There you
for a
go.
while, and then you might not be surfing for a long time again. And you watch it destroy people because there's no rhyme or reason. I heard a story the other day of a producer saying there's nothing more debilitating when you see like friends of yours that are actors and a room full of producers being like, this one or this one, they're both great. And you can watch just in a split second one person's whole life change. Financials, a career made, and another person's not. And it has zero to do with the talent or the capabilities to be able to do it. It's just on this one whim. The
Mm.
direct, they're going in a
Yeah.
different direction. It's my
I
favorite.
swear, if I hear that one more time in
They're
my
going in a
life,
different
I will.
direction. Oh, what direction? Fucking north, south, east, or west? I need to know where the direction
Yeah.
is.
Imagine if you went on a few dates with someone, and then, like, after the fifth date, they said, you know what? I don't want to date you anymore. Why not? I'm going in a different
Different
direction.
direction.
What does that mean?
What the fuck? Yes. It is an abusive relationship. That's what I say all the time. This business
Different
is
direction of Lisa or Mike? Like, give me a
help
name.
me, help you.
Help
I
me.
need to know, wait, what a competition I'm in right now. It
Ah,
is. And then as soon as you walk away from it, it does this little thing where it's, hold on, we're still thinking about you. Here's a little dangle carrot. So for you
yeah.
to also leave LA, it was 2018, 2019 that you
Yeah.
left.
Yeah. And I
Um,
was speaking at this event, and this woman came up to me afterwards and said, Colin, you have a really interesting story. You lived through 9/11. At that time, I was a two-time cancer survivor, because when I was on All My Children, I got diagnosed with testicular cancer 6 months into my contract. So I had to have surgery, radiation treatment, and was going through all that at All My Children. A year later, it came back, had to have another surgery.
oh
So
shit.
that's one of the chapters in my book. It's called Free Balling, because you got to have a sense of humor about things, right?
Yes.
And so after navigating that experience, when All My Children ended, I jumped back into acting class. And then after, it was a good probably 7 months before, between All My Children ending and Melrose Place, maybe six
Melrose.
six months. And then did that. And then even on Melrose Place, the first one was on for 7 years.
Mm.
This one was on for 13 episodes. It was, they tried to cram so much into this show that no one knew what it was. And
And
my character, I got the call that after the 10th episode, because my character was this alcoholic chef, they needed to lighten up the tone of the show. It's like the original Melrose Place was like these 20 and 30 somethings
yes,
navigating dating and career in a small
spicy,
little apartment complex.
saucy.
The new
Yes.
Melrose Place, the first episode, Laura Layton's character was murdered.
Yes. It
There
went for
was
it.
art heist, and there was like all this like high powered P. It was like, okay, this is just all over the place.
So much.
And so they were like, we need to lighten the show up. So we're going to I got the call saying, we have to write you off. The network wants us to lighten up the show. We're bringing in this funny doctor guy to bring some comedy and levity into the show. And so you're out. And again, so now I'm like, oh my God, here we go again. And then I was like,
Huh.
so you can let these moments in life stop you in your tracks, or you can really take some deep stock and realize, okay, is this something I really want to be doing, or is this something that I just like doing? So this career will test you, right? And
Uh-huh.
relationships will test you. Kids will test you. It really is the opportunity to further deepen your decision to commit to something or not. And so these are some of the life lessons and principles that I talk about in my book. And when I was at this event giving my talk, this woman came up to me and she said, I'm a publisher. I'd be interested in helping you write your story because you've got all these interesting things, 9/11, cancer, Hollywood. And so she helped me write my book. And then once that came out, I started going on this book tour. And as I mentioned to you, I'd get nervous in front of audiences and people are like, you're an actor, dude. I'm like, with acting, they give you the script so you know what you're going to say. And then they're
Yep.
like, stand there
And
and
then
just,
they tell you what to do, and then they tell you if it sucks, and they tell you to
yeah,
say it better, but then they only show everybody the final perfect thing. So now I have
right.
to do this in front
And
of
they
you?
cut out all the bad parts and the parts where you
Yeah.
messed up. And so I started going on this book tour, and what I thought was just going to be like a book signing and take some pictures. I walked into this Barnes and Noble in Minnesota and then like Detroit, and there was like a podium with a microphone and chairs and people sitting in them. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta talk like to these people. And I was like, it was
I have to
exciting,
entertain. Yes.
entertain. But because it was my story, it was easy for me to just tell my personal experience about what this looked like. And what essentially this does, this experience for me, what it allowed me to do was practice just being up in front of people, not worrying about what I had to say, because what I had to say was my personal story. And you can't mess that up. It's you've lived it. So people are either going to resonate with it or they're not. And fortunately, people seem to resonate with the story. And then when COVID hit, I ended up turning all of this into these online Zoom calls and created this 6 week Inspire boot camp, which is all about applying the same principles and techniques that we learn as actors to people to help them identify what's the story they want to tell in their life, what character do they need to authentically connect with in order to tell this story, what are the obstacles and challenges that they're running away from in life, and encouraging
Mm-hmm.
them to lean into those challenges because in a movie and in TV shows, the characters lean into the challenge to grow or learn something, and then that allows them to have and be who they want to be in their third act. So I've created this whole 6 week course that I do, and that's led to these in-person retreats that I've done in Scottsdale and Tulum, Mexico. I'm doing another one in what looks to be Costa Rica in April. So you should come, bring your
Yes.
daughter.
Of
It's
course.
been all of this great stuff that has created this energy. So now when I go to audition or do anything, if I don't get it, I'm like, ah, it's all right. I've got all this other stuff going on. And now I'm
Mhm.
starting to produce my own projects. I just produced my second film here in Chicago last month. And now I've got three more that I'm working on. And once you start to create this energy and this momentum of identifying what value you can bring to the table, you're no longer someone who's, hey, will you pick me for your
Pick
job?
me, choose me.
You
Well,
can
yeah, that's
show up and be like,
exactly tell
this
your
is what I got.
story.
Do you want to
Yes.
play?
That's what when you were just giving all of these acting lessons are transferable to anybody else that's just learning how to speak in French. Just you're telling your story. But then I
Mhm.
think that's the one thing that people have a hard time learning, that just acting is just telling your story. We slip into this, oh, here are the lines, here's what's written here. I have to say it exactly like this. I have to do it right. And then I don't see Colin anymore. I don't see people anymore. You're not sharing a story with me. You're not sharing anything with me, actually. You're being so rigid about it. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that you said that you started producing, because I was curious then what kind of brings you back, what pulls you in when you decide to do a role or not do a role now, or do a project or not do a project now, or fucking audition or not audition right now. Are you
Yeah.
at that space where you still have to audition? I feel like everybody's
Yeah.
gotten decapitated at this lane and has to audition
Yep.
regardless.
Yeah.
So,
And because part of me does auditioning, but when it's like one after another, and in my book, I did the calculations. I've gone on over, and you probably have the same stats, like on over 2,000 auditions in my career. And I've
mm,
got 50 something credits to my name. So that's like a 98% failure rate if you look at it.
is that great? Or
And so
2% success, baby.
there you go. And so I'm the kind of person, I'm like, how can I stack the deck so it's in my favor? If I've got a bunch of writer friends, if I can work on a project, that a story that I like, that I want to tell. I have friends who are line producers and the logistics type of producers, send it to them, get a budget, and then I go raise the money because from real estate, I've learned how to raise thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars for these real estate projects. It's essentially the same thing with raising money for film and learning how to securitize the asset and then the different exit strategies and distributions. And so I'm still in the middle of learning a lot of this, but what I know, one of my strong suits is bringing people together and getting the right people in the room to be able to let them shine and do what they do best. And so
Mm.
that's how I've been able to produce and insert myself as the lead actor in these movies
Yeah.
because, hey guys, I'm putting this project together. Do you want to play with me?
Do you want to come play?
Yeah. So there's no, oh, who should we consider for the role? It's like, yep, that's me.
No, that would
So
be me taken
yeah.
care of.
And then you
Easy.
give people the opportunity to decide whether they want to do this project with you or not. But then once you commit to it, it's so much more fun being on the other side, being able to do the casting and bring people together and knowing that, and it's difficult. Like when the roles that we were casting, there was like two or three actors that were right for each role. And you're like, oh my God,
So
it's
talk me
so
through being on the
hard
other side. I want to
because
know,
like,
when I teach people and I show other actors, I'm like, look at other actors. You got 12 actors doing the same set of size. 9 of them are going to be great. 3 of them are
yeah,
excellent. So
yeah.
choosing what made the 3 people land in the selection pile that you were like the most excited about? What landed them there? What do you think you saw in their tapes or their auditions?
Good question. The ones that were fully committed to it, the ones that knew their lines, not didn't have to be 100%, but it's blows my mind. If you're auditioning for something and some of these actors are like, so I knew that you were in the jail and that you were going to be prosecuted.
Yeah. And then the
It's like,
smile. That's my favorite.
dude,
The
like what?
active smile when they're listening, but they don't know where you're gonna. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And the ones that were just fully committed to it. And there was this one guy that I wanted for one of the roles, and the director wanted this other guy. And so it's kind of like you have to learn to give and take and whatever. And so I was like, all right, I got to cast this other role. So the director picked the
Zev
other
their
guy.
pick. Uh-huh.
But we then gave the guy that I liked a different role in the film. And then when we were on set, I went up to him. I said, listen, I was like, I just want to tell you, because I'm an actor as well, and I know this process just blows. I said, you absolutely killed your audition. I thought you did such an incredible job for the other role. And I said, and sometimes with the way things work out, I wanted you in this some way or another because I believe in you. I love your talent. Because if I were auditioning for something and I didn't get the role I wanted, it just helps when someone, and I've had certain actors do that to me. Like when I got let go from Melrose Place, Heather Locklear knocked on my trailer and she was like, hey, can I come in? And I was like, yeah. And I'd only met her a few times because they brought her on for like the second half of the show series run or the season run to help try to increase ratings.
Try to save it. Yep.
And she said, hey, I heard you're leaving. And I said, yeah. And she's like, you all right? And I was like, this sucks, man. I was like, I was so excited to be here and I really wanted to just go on this journey for whatever. And she said, here, you know what, Colin? She was like, just my advice to you and just want to tell you this little story. She said, when I first started out, I was like 19 years old. I was on Dallas
Uh,
Like, oh, I remember you. And I was like, I had a crush on you when you were on Delta.
exactly. I was like, were you going to tell her? Were you going to tell
Yeah.
her? Yeah.
And she said, my character was on the show for a bunch of episodes. And she said, I came to work one day and one of the grips came up to me and said, Hey, Heather, really sorry to hear you're not going to be here anymore. And she was like, What? I heard from a grip that I was fired. Like he knew before I
Whoa.
did. And this is just part of the business. And she said, things will come around. You
Mm.
just got to stay in the game. Don't give up. And she said, it was funny enough. Once I got let go from the show, there was such a backlash and an outcrying of whatever. She said that they ended up hiring me back the next season, like later on. You never know how this is going to go, but just don't take it personally. Just keep going. I just want to let you know that because this business can be really difficult. So it's when people have done that to me, I've really appreciated it. And it's just helped give me a little more
Juice to keep it
confidence.
going.
Just to keep it
Yes.
going.
Yeah, because it is. And also, we don't know what's going to hit or not hit. Like, television is an instantaneous call and response. Not as great as theater, but at least you could have somebody be like, no, he's the fan favorite. She's the fan favorite. They can demand a career out of a short little stint, right?
Mm.
Then with films, sometimes we don't know what's going to be the thing or what's not going to be the thing.
The TV and film landscape, it's constantly changing, but traditional actor training has largely remained the same.
It's focused on a theater model whose main goal is to help you stretch the expression of your instrument. That's why you can have years of training,
From scene study classes to audition classes.
to even an MFA, and still not be able to book a two-line co-star.
That's why we created The Bridge for Actors.
A collection of tech, craft, and business online courses to teach you the skills that you need to go from a student of acting
To a working actor.
I want to hear about this audition of Something Borrowed. I want to hear about you being like the lead, carrying a rom-com studio film, and just that experience as an actor too, because you're talking about all the highlights that we get to, or all the, I think, mountaintops that we have expectations about, right? So it's, oh my God, I got on all my shows, I'm getting paid, I'm an actor, I'm doing the thing. It's great. This is great. And then the contract goes away. Okay, Melrose. Okay, it's a huge reboot. It's of course going to go. I'm getting set up. It's great.
Yeah.
There's that blow again. Okay, now I'm going to be the lead of a studio film with like huge juggernaut actresses where they're also putting a lot of pressure. And is this going to deliver? And if it doesn't, what is that like? You get to have, I think, these little checkpoints and they never go along the plan. I always think that we have this idea of this is going to be the thing, right? Where I don't have to audition anymore. This will be the thing that will allow me to be just given the opportunities that I've been seeking.
Yeah.
And then they don't. And then it's the other
Yeah.
ones that are a little,
Shame.
yes. I just loved that movie so much. So indulge me, please.
Yeah, thank you. So this is pretty profound with this audition because obviously with this kind of movie, with these types of actors, Kate Hudson, John Krasinski, and Ginnifer Goodwin,
Yeah.
they had, what I was told, obviously they'd gone out to a few big A-list actors, and for whatever reason they passed, and then they started opening up for other actors, and they just couldn't quite find Dex and who embodied the qualities of someone who was like a East Coast privileged boarding school, but also was relatable and had something warm about him, where there was like this sensitivity and this vulnerability about him. And fortunately, they couldn't. After reading like 400 actors, I heard they.
Don't you love that? Sometimes it's great being the last one to go in.
Yeah. And I was like, my agent sent me the audition. I was like, something, whatever. I don't, it just seemed like a romantic, whatever. I didn't know it was this big popular book. I didn't know anything about this. And so at the time, Kate Hudson was not attached to it. Ginnifer was. So I went into the audition and I just gave my take at it and got a call from my agent saying they really liked you. They want to call you back to read for the producers, because I'd read for the casting directors at first, and it was at Warner Brothers Studios, which is always exciting. You got to give your ID and walk on the lot and gladiators and dragons are running all over the place.
Yeah.
But obviously when you walk into the audition and other guys from other TV shows, it can psych you out. But I had enough experience, and it was right after I'd been let go from Melrose Place. And
Yep,
here's the
that's
thing.
why I asked.
One of my coaches told me that the tough parts in your acting career or in life, they'll help you build what's called spiritual calluses, where if you approach life from this spiritual perspective of, am I aligned with this story? And one of my acting teachers said, when you walk into that room, it's not them choosing you for the role. It's almost as if the character itself blesses you when you walk into the room, and then everyone in the room recognizes it.
Yeah.
And so you just got to show up sometimes. You never know when you're going to fall in love with someone. But if you don't go to the bar or the restaurant or the event, how are you going to see if there is that magical moment of connection? And so this is just out of your control. All you can do is show up and do your best. And all I did was show up and give my best take on Dex. And as I got further along in the process, it got down between me and this other actor. And
you almost said his name. I wanted to know. We can bleep it out.
I don't want to say.
Okay, you'll tell me off mic. Great.
Yeah, but he was on this hit TV show at the time, and we had to do a chemistry read with Ginnifer. And now it was down between me and this actor. And for the final callback, I go in and I'm walking up the stairs to the casting director's office, and he comes out from his audition, this big smile on his face. I'm like, oh, and I didn't know who the actor was that I was up against until that moment. I was like, oh no, it's him. I might as well just walk back down these stairs with him,
just
and
walk
get
out
back
with
in
them.
my car. Like, hey, dude, have fun.
High five.
Like,
let's go have a drink. We should go commemorate that you just got this.
yes, that you just got this, because there is no way I'm getting this role.
Yep.
And this is like how stupid we can be, and we can sabotage ourselves. And I was like,
or
well,
it liberates you. Maybe did it liberate you? Because you're like, fuck it, he's getting it.
yeah. Well, yeah, in a sense, I was like, yeah. I was like, shit, if it's him, what do I got to lose?
Yes.
And this is now like the fourth audition, I think. And so I just went in. And what really helps me in an audition is if you can just try to connect with who you're reading with. And so Ginnifer was so sweet, and she's a very giving actress in terms of just giving you, like, having a little conversation beforehand. And there's just a kindness about her that makes you feel like you can really just play in that space of just taking chances and whatnot. And so we had 3 scenes, and we did the first 2 and felt really good. And you can tell when it's going well, because the energy is feeling good and the head knob bobbing, and okay, all right, great. And then the third scene in that for the chemistry read was the scene where we are at the bar listening to the band for me and Kate's wedding, or Darcy's wedding. And she's already told me that she was in love with me in law school. And the scene was, I turn to her and I say, why didn't you ever tell me that you were in love with me in law school? And the words on the page were choppy, and it was written as if Dex was having a hard time getting these words out. And I was getting tripped up on which words were first and last and second. And because it was so disjointed, I wasn't connecting with her. And so we did it, and I was like, oh shit, I just blew my chance. I blew it. I was like, all right, might as well just pack up and walk out of the room. And what was great about the director, Luke Greenfield, and I'm still friends with him to this day, the casting director was like, all right. And Luke goes, hold on a minute. He comes up to me, he kneels down, and he just whispers to me, he says, hey, Colin, we do it again. And what's great about Luke is that he invites you into this world of almost like you're conspiring with him to go on this like exciting adventure. And he was like, all right, so you know how like when you're absolutely in love with someone and you can't wait to tell them how you really feel about them. He said, fuck the words on the page. Just do the scene the way in which you would just authentically tell someone that you were in love with. And I was like, all right. And so he goes back and sits down, And all I did was just turn and look at Ginnifer, locked into her eyes. And man, the best part of this business is, and I'm sure you could appreciate this, Alyshia, is that when you connect with someone, it's like time stops. You're not thinking about anything. You're just in the moment. And it just starts to naturally flow. And words started coming out of my mouth and just started telling her how much I loved her and adored her. And that if I couldn't spend the rest of my life with her, there's no way I'd want to continue living, because she was the one that made me to be a better man and it was like all the things I ever wanted to tell a woman in my life. And it just
To
naturally
practice it with Ginnifer Goodwin, it's perfect.
Yeah. And all of a sudden tears start coming down her eyes, and then tears start coming out of my eyes. And when you just let yourself be in the moment like that, it's amazing just what naturally comes up. And this is the big part of just trusting that when you do the work and you show up and you connect, and your intention is to just create something that is aligned and has integrity with what you're there to do, and you get out of your own way, that's when the magic happens. And Ginnifer and I finished the scene, and we're just looking at each other. We've just fallen in love with each other. And then we snap out of it, realizing, oh yeah, we're in a casting director's office.
Yes.
And we look, and like the director, the producer, like everyone's faces there were like,
oh,
whoa. And you could just feel like the molecules in the room, like galvanizing. And it was like, holy shit, what just happened? And this is the great part about this, is they're like, Colin, that was great. Thank you. And I walked out of there and I was like,
yes.
Yes. And it was like every audition that I've ever felt like I've really served it to its fullest need. And I showed up and I served that character in that role. I always walk out like saying, you know what? I don't even care if I get this role. I did my best and I did what I needed to do to show them what I can do. And that's,
I think that's the stroking of that performative fire. I don't even know what else you call it. When two ethers, it just connects, like two souls are connecting. And I don't think you need anything else in that moment. You're so satisfied.
yeah.
The paycheck of validation, it's great. It's so great to have the paycheck of validation. I really do love having a paycheck for getting paid for the art when it does crystallize in that moment. That is nice that it follows up that way. But
the problem was I got a call from my agent, because the studio executives were in the room as well.
Okay.
And I got a call from my agent afterwards, and he's like, hey, Colin. So yeah, so what? He's, listen. I'm like, oh shit.
No.
I didn't get it. And they're like, listen, the producer, the creative producer, the director, and the casting directors really like you. The problem is the executive producers, who are paying foot in the bill, they think you look too much like Tom Cruise, and they think it's too distracting, and people are going to tune out because they're going to be like, oh, look, Tom Cruise, is that a young Tom Cruise in this movie?
No.
So he said, they want you to come back in one more time. And I'm like,
and how do I not look less like Tom Cruise? What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? No.
So this time when you go in, if you could they said you smile, your smile reminds them a lot. And this is
the fucked up thing of our business. How do you knock it in your head? Yeah.
Who aren't actors and they don't know how to articulate like what a casting director or producer needs. He said, they think your smile looks too much like Tom Cruise. So when you go in, they want you to go in again. This time, just don't smile so much.
Okay. As you're telling somebody that you love them the most, and the person's telling you that they love them the most, but don't smile. In fact,
love you.
Be the serial killer version.
You're the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with.
Obviously. Can't you feel it?
Can't smile.
We're back to my eyebrow acting. Yes. What do you do with that note? What did you do?
So I was like, okay, wait, I know there's a book about this movie, and maybe I just need to learn a little bit more about decks. And so I went to Barnes & Noble, at the Grove, and I checked out the book, or I grabbed the book, and it's pink. So I grabbed like a magazine and I put the pink book so it wouldn't look like I'm reading a pink book. And I started reading to just get a better idea of who Dex was. What I realized and what I learned from reading just even the first few chapters of the book, I didn't even read the whole thing, was that Dex was someone who is not as open with his emotions, and he doesn't reveal how he feels about things. He plays things closer to the vest than I was playing him in the room. So I was like, all right, all I got to do is just be a little more coy, a little less charming, but keep the charm, but less expressive of it. And so that helped me lock in. And then another amazing piece of advice that one of my acting teachers had me do. She's a life coach. Her name is Wendy Spiller, and she's a life coach for actors. And she works with a ton of like A-list actors and helps them just with
choice,
like more mindset stuff than actual like script analysis. And I went to go see her as well, because I was like now freaking out. I'm like, this is crazy. And she's
don't be
like,
you,
okay,
but be you.
ground. And she said, listen, so what I want you to do is go home and write your Oscar-winning speech that you are going to win 20 years from now. And you're going to write it as if something borrowed that you've already filmed it, and that was the impetus that launched your career to then that has led to this Academy Award. So I wrote out this whole Oscar speech. It said, thank you to the Academy. Thank you, everyone. It all started with that little movie, Something Borrowed, where Kate Hudson and I and Ginnifer Goodwin and whatever, we had an amazing opportunity. Kate and I now have 3 kids, and we just want to thank, I wrote this whole thing about how it had already happened. She taught me the power of manifesting, or quantum jumping, and then quantum collapsing, if you want to call it those terms, of your future reality in the present moment. So what it does is it allows your brain to then latch on to what already is inevitably happening. And the first step of that was just to go into that audition and do that one last audition. That was just the step that led into what was going to happen in the future. And in that way, you're taking out the doubt or the imposter syndrome part of it, where you're like, this is it. This is just part of the path. So when I went into that final audition to do that chemistry to read one more time, my mindset was, I've already booked the movie. Now I get to just show up and do the steps.
Do a work session, a little rehearsal.
Work session.
Exactly. Rehearsal. Your rehearsal went fucking great. Was it okay? Because I always love this from one of my coaches too, where it's don't seek to repeat. And when you have an audition that goes 4, 5, 6, 7 times, it's really impossible to not seek to repeat or be beholden to the performance that you did before. Since you had such a visceral performance or a connection.
Yeah. I'm like, how the hell am I going to repeat that?
Yeah. Did you even try, or what did you seek to discover? How did you pop into that work session?
Yeah. The saving grace was I now had more confidence about who Dex was. So I feel like I just walked in with not the doubt of, man, you're still not sure, so you want me to come back in here again, which is probably what like my younger version of me would have done. I walked in there more confident, more grounded, more just like, this is my role. I walked in there with more ownership. So I didn't have to do anything other than just really, I was more curious about what I could find out about Ginny. Yes. And just being in that more grounded place, it almost was if like that confidence is attractive type of thing. And it was almost like the way in which I walked into the room was different. The way I just showed up as Dex was different. And so but also Ginnifer being as amazing, and like the chemistry that we had was undeniable. There were just moments still too where I smiled, so thank you very much. But it was more of a Robert Redford kind of
Mm.
reserved smile where it wasn't
Yes.
so like in your face, like a Tom Cruise smile.
Not a megawatt. Yep.
It
More
was
of a
more of just
sneer. Hmm.
more
Yeah.
I played more the subtext of Dex rather than the outward manifestation of how he was feeling. And then I just walked out. And I was just without even really being like acting like I gave a shit. Because
And
at
then
that
how long
point,
before they called and they said, okay, fine, it's you.
yeah. And the funny thing was, those two executive producers who had hesitations about hiring me, once I was on set, Hillary Swank was one of the producers as well. She was never in the room, but the producer, Molly Smith, brought the final auditions to Hillary's house and they watched them. And when I ended up having lunch with Hillary, and she was like, I want to tell you the reason why I wanted you to play Dex all along. She said, even when it was between you and five other guys, when we watched all of your auditions, she said, you were the one that was the most authentic and real about, you could just tell how much love you had for Rachel. And she said,
Mhm.
that's why I liked you. And that's why I wanted you to play this role. And to hear that from a two-time Academy Award winning actress, I was like, wait, can you record that? Can you?
You're like, I never need to audition again. It was
Yeah.
perfect. It was great. Well done.
And
Achieved.
yeah. And then the two executive producers, once they were on set and they got to see some of my work, this is the thing where they became two of my biggest champions.
I was
And
just
like
gonna say from
they,
that, so many work begets work. And look, I know we only highlighted a couple of these, but these are pivotal moments. But it's really interesting that these pivotal moments are happening with a quick turnaround. Your transitions were so quick in there. So quick of, oh, this is not working out anymore. Okay, I'm gonna go over here now. Oh, this is
gotta
not
be
working.
agile,
Yes.
gotta be agile, Alicia.
What a beautiful, Colin, what a ride.
Yeah.
What a ride. And this is not a human design podcast. And the first thing that was just getting ready to come out of my mouth was, I bet you are that manifesting generator, that person that has to experience and then teach. So much of your experience has been, oh, I'm feeling my way through this. Oh my God, I could show somebody else how to do this. Like how exhilarating that you've
And that's
overcome so
how,
much.
if I could just share a little story about Where the Wind Blows, which is coming out
Yes.
this week.
Mhm.
The reason why I got a role in that was because I started teaching an online acting class. So
Mhm.
I'm a generator where I like to experience and then teach. And so I was teaching this acting class, and this woman reached out to me saying that she wanted to get some training. And so I started working with her. And 8 months into our training, she said, I've just acquired the IP for this famous novel called Where the Wind Blows. And she's, I want to put this project together. I've got a director, but I want to play the lead role, but I've only done a few kind of smaller things. Will you coach me and help me get ready for this film? And I said, absolutely. I would love to. And through the audition process of them trying to find some of the other actors, it turns out that there was a role in there that ultimately I was able to play. So I got to not only act in the movie, but I was Ashley's on-set acting coach throughout the whole filming of the movie. So to be able to do that was an exceptional experience, because now when the movie comes out, I'm so proud of the work she did in this movie and her performance. And it's like on set, just watching her blossom and take some of the coaching that I was giving her. And a lot of it had to do with just helping her stay grounded, because she's
Mhm.
producing and acting in it. It was a lot. So a lot of the times it was just more of just like getting her grounded, centered, getting her present and intentional about what the scene was about, so that she could just show up and just play. And really
Yeah.
proud that I think that's the biggest thing that I'm excited about this film for people to see, not because I'm only in it a little bit,
But
but I'm just
Michelle
really proud.
Hurd, Michelle just
Yeah.
did the podcast, so Michelle Hurd is also in it. You got Trevor Donovan. Hello, Hallmark star.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys have crossed paths there. Like it's a great cast. I was literally gonna ask how this came together and how Ashley landed herself in the lead position. Good for her.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to be doing right now is you
Yeah.
go
So the
make
lesson
your own
is
content.
create, cultivate, produce your
Mhm.
own stuff.
It's the only way we're going to survive in this art telling business. And I love that you're able to cultivate supporting people just as they are, to show up as they are.
Yeah.
I don't think we can just rely on acting anymore. Look at how many beautiful, amazing projects you've been a part of. And then we scramble for the next one. There's just time well served in between those projects that I think are so fulfilling. Like you were saying earlier in the conversation, it's not just acting anymore that really is going to fill all of this up. What a beautiful thing to be a part of, to help somebody else step into their light, which you're doing constantly with people.
And you are too, like with this podcast, you're giving a platform to people to share their voice and their message.
And there's stories, because I find it so fascinating. You would never in a million years write this story from looking at a timeline of somebody's career. And I think that we can glean so much from each other. We can take what we want, leave the rest. If we get to put somebody in the hot seat for a little bit and be like, how did you do this? How'd you do this? And when it's retrospect, when you can go back and connect the dots of being able to write your book and then speak to people and then help other people learn how to speak. That's just what a beautiful walk through memory lane. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much for
You're
coming
welcome.
and sharing all of your goodness. Where can people follow along? And then also your websites too. So people, if they're interested.
Yeah. My website is colinegglesfield.com. Good luck spelling that.
Good luck.
Colin with
They'll find
one
you.
L. And my Instagram is at Colin Egglesfield, and I'm pretty active on Instagram. And so whether it's with talking about my books or my coaching and my retreats, would love to connect with anyone who's out there who's feeling like they just need a little support and some inspiration to fulfill on the things that really matter most to them.
Yeah, I'm coming. April, where are we going? Where's the retreat in
Costa
April?
Rica, baby.
Costa Rica. Kids are welcome. Yes. Thank you so much for doing this. This is so fun.
Thanks, Alyshia.